So a long while back, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll notice I put up a poll suggesting what my next game review should be. On that poll, I put up SpongeBob SuperSponge, Lilo and Stitch Hamsterville Havoc, Larry Boy and the Bad Apple, and Shrek Super Slam, just for the lulz. I let it sit around for about a week and guess what ended up winning the poll? SpongeBob SquarePants is a show that needs no explanation. It made its debut in 1999, and since then has become a huge phenomenon. I bet there isn't a single person that doesn't know what SpongeBob is. We've seen this sponge all over the place. Movies, merchandising, toys, furnitures, drinking straws, coasters, bibs, and not surprisingly, the world of video games. There's a handful of them, ranging from Nicktoon appearances to the standalone titles that honestly tend to be hit or miss based on my observation, though I don't know if that's a can of worms I intend to dive into in the near future. For now, let's focus on this game, SpongeBob SquarePants SuperSponge for the PlayStation and Game Boy Advance. Are you ready, kids? Cause I don't know if I am. Released in November of 2001, published by THQ and developed by Climax. I feel like I know this name somewhere. Give me a minute. Alright. What we have here is a game that's about as by the numbers as it is strange and bizarre. This feels like it was initially made for the Game Boy, and it really shows in the visual department. A 2.5D side-scroller game that, for what it's worth, gets the job done. It's nothing mind-blowing, but I'm willing to give it a pass here. The story follows SpongeBob doing a bunch of fetch quests for Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy so he can get a picture of them for Patrick's birthday. Sounds like a typical day in the world of SpongeBob. And as par for the course with these tie-in games, the authenticity of capturing the feel of the show it's based on is somewhat on point. Once again, it helps that the original voice cast is here, minus Clancy Brown for whatever reason.
Wear your boots and you'll go far! Arr!
And for the most part, the voice acting is about as in character as you can get. I do like some of the delivery here to make it feel like you're actually watching SpongeBob.
Hey moron, why don't you take your net and go waste somebody else's time? Whatever you do, make sure you fill it up before you bring it back!
Up, down, and all around! I don't know what that means.
Though it isn't without its hiccups. For some reason, Barnacle Boy's lines tend to read SpongeBob and Mermaid Man's initials as MM and SB, as if he was reading the speech box ad verbatim. It's weird and almost throws you out of the moment. Almost. Now jumping into the gameplay, which takes full priority here, it's standard stuff. You move around, platforming from stage to stage, gathering whatever collectibles are required to move the plot along. You can jump, perform a ground pound, and pick up items to help you get past enemies. These range from a jellyfish net, which you use to pick up jellyfish and toss them at incoming enemies. You can use a reef blower to suck up projectiles to help you clear a path, a karate glove that lets you attack things for a short while, you can blow bubbles to help you platform across tall and wide gaps, or squeaky boots that make you impervious to dangerous hazards, to name some notable stuff. And these item pickups range from somewhat decent to, oh my god, what am I doing? To go over my experience with some of these, I always look forward to the karate glove when I see it. The bubble power-up is pretty helpful, the jellyfish net gets the job done, provided I'm able to land my shots with this thing, and I utterly groan every time I have to use the reef blower. To say this thing sucks wouldn't even begin to describe it. It feels slippery and heavy, which will cause many slip-ups and accidents if you don't know how to navigate. I find myself having to carefully move about with this thing on my back, and it's not a lot of fun, to put it lightly. On that note, the gameplay itself is 50-50. I don't know what it is, whether it's my visual settings or maybe I'm just terrible with Game Boy ports like this, or both. But while I find the game straightforward and easy to finish, I've struggled quite a bit just getting to the end. Not helping in particular is trying to go after all the spatulas. There's 100 in each level and collecting them adds to your score on the menu screen. Collecting these spatulas in and of itself sounds good enough until you realize this also ties into your health indicator. These spatulas are more or less the same way rings work in Sonic the Hedgehog. Taking damage will deplete every single spatula you've collected until you pick them back up or find enough just to get you by. There's nothing more frustrating and annoying than having a great number of spatulas picked up, only to lose them all as you run into an enemy or hazard you weren't ready for. This happened so much throughout my playthrough that I eventually stopped caring about going after them all and just brute forced my way to the finish. And while we're still here, you'll run into situations where you feel like a sitting duck wondering where to go. It doesn't help that after a while the environments sort of blend in together to make navigation a bit more of a chore. And then there's moments like this. I'm not gonna say anything and just let the footage speak for itself.
Ah! Now to find the bread. But where? I know! Bikini Bottom has loads of bread.
In any case, you should still be able to finish the game, all these batshit issues aside. It's nothing hard, just tedious in many stages. Level structure is straightforward. Every chapter sees 4 levels and a boss fight at the end of its 4th outing. Chapter 1 has you making a sandwich for a mermaid man. Chapter 2 involves you finding pampering equipment.
Some kelp cream and a facial. Not for me, you understand.
Yeah, I'm sure of it, pal. Chapter 3 has you going back in time to form a superhero costume. Chapter 4 sends you to rock bottom to find some candy. Sounds vaguely familiar. And Chapter 5 has you hooking up a TV for Mermaid Man. Reminder that all of this is tied around Patrick's birthday, by the way. Talk about going through hell and back for your best friend. Sheesh. There's also these secret areas, one of which I found in the first chapter. There's supposedly 1 in each level, and they involve you playing mini games for collectibles which you can turn into the shop here. I never really thought to invest any more time into this beyond that point, but I thought it was still worth mentioning. The bosses see you up against a giant jellyfish which you attack by catching little jellies floating around and firing it back at them. This raises so many questions that I'm not even gonna dive into it. There's a robotic fish which you can clear out with more jellyfish. I'm sensing a pattern here. There's a sea serpent you attack by stomping on it, which makes more sense than anything else I've seen. You fight the Flying Dutchman, which is standard stuff, and the final boss is this bizarre, off-putting dogfish creature. Yeah, I have no idea what Climax was smoking when they designed this thing, but whatever it is. Can I have some? Anyway, you press these switches to freeze this beast in place, then stomp it down. Below average boss fights in this otherwise below average game. And yeah, that's basically the entirety of SpongeBob SuperSponge. I'm sorry if things were more on the shorter side this time around, but honestly there's not a whole lot to talk about going into a game like this. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. A typical tie-in game on the bucket list of many revolved around the world of SpongeBob SquarePants. It's nothing mind-blowing, you can get through it pretty quickly without almost any effort, though you're gonna have a hell of a time if you're concerned about the game's health system. I know I was. Not a game I'd strongly recommend to anyone, really. What you see here is basically what you get. Will I look into other SpongeBob games after this? I can't really promise that. I've had a bit of history with this game going into it, so I thought it'd be worth checking out for review. As far as other Nicktoons go, I'm sure there's a chance we'll run into this
Horace freak
again, but who knows. As for all the other games on the poll, don't worry about it, folks. I'm gonna give them all a fair shot sometime. It's all a matter of when. This is Miss Dan signing out. Thank you all so much for watching, and in closing, all I can really say is